ladies and gentlemen.
Giggity. All right.
Seems quiet. Too quiet.
I'm Batman. Gotham is never safe without me. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Okay, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You can attach towers? Shut up. Impromptu performance this evening, which I must say was indeed a welcome distraction. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. You're very kind. This is going to be funny.
I'm just kidding. I'm not muted. Forrest. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. I'm trying to be on the tail end of this stupid sinus infection. It's kicking my butt a little bit, but I couldn't resist from reading the book tonight. I couldn't do it. We didn't do it on Sunday because there was just no way. But tonight we are gonna give it a try. Yep. That's basically the long and short of it. In fact, I'm gonna close my door while I have the chance. So yes, I apologize if I cough into the mic without muting first. I'm gonna try to do my best to mute that sucker before I start making everyone feel sick. I never got to thank you for that clip you made me. Wait, what? I never got to thank you for that clip you made. Wait. Oh. Well, you know, it was clip worthy. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I came in at the right time. That's all I can say. I came in at the right time. Gosh darn it. Sinuses. What's that all about? Like, what is even the point? I don't know. So don't look at this message. Hey, stay focused. Don't look at the screen. Don't read this. Gosh, so sorry. Oh, man. Man, I hope reading goes well, because I really want to keep reading this book. It's such a great story. And it's so well written. Anyway. Since we know... excuse me. Since we know that Sherlock Holmes likes to wear his hat, I thought this jigsaw of many different hats would be appropriate. Although, ironically, I don't think he would wear any of these. Which makes it kind of funny. So there you go. There's the connection. I try to have a puzzle that connects with what we're reading. And I realize this is a bit of a stretch, but here we are. It is what it is. Okay. I still have 28 wheel gain spins to do. The Wheel of Gains. So, let's do a couple of those, depending on what we land on, maybe 3. Start getting them out of the way. I always forget that they come with their own music, so I'll pause the other music and...
squats x10.
Okay, no weighted squats times 10. So let's do that. Okay. I almost fell backwards on a couple of those. Mainly the two that you just pointed out. All right, let's spin again. Really?
No weight squats x10.
No weight squats x10. Again. Fine. This is the worst music to listen to for squats. See if I fall again. Or almost fall. See, I almost went there. 8, 9, 10. All right. Since it gave us two of the same, we'll do one more spin for sure.
Regular curls x5.
Regular curls times 5. We can do that. That we can definitely do. Man, last time we did this, I had to do 10 weighted squats, which means I picked up both of those and did squats like that. Wasn't the most fun, but it's okay. All right. Got my tea, which I'm gonna really need tonight. Yep. It's not my best cup of tea. I'll give it that. Could be because I'm still not 100%, but it's still hot and it's still tea, so I'll take it. Hi, Katie. How are you? I'm still a bit sniffly. My still a bit coffee. But we're gonna give it a try, okay? I apologize if I sound weird or, you know, whatever. We're gonna do our best. Oh, and of course, we have our marble races right down here. And the puzzle, which I did update the link. Hope you're okay. Yeah, I'm on the mend for sure. I'm definitely way better than I was over the weekend, which stunk because as far as weather goes and weather on the weekend, that was like probably one of the best weekend weather scenarios you could ask for. Like, it was mid-60s, there was a slight breeze, it was sunny, and I was stuck in bed. And it ticked me off. I did get out a little bit, obviously, to get some sun, vitamin D and all that. Or vitamin C, or D, C, whatever. Vitamin sunshine. But, yeah. Yeah, I hate being sick too, thank you. It's no fun when you want to do stuff. I hate sitting around doing nothing. Drives me insane. Alright. Everybody is okay to play, which all you have to do is literally type !play to have a marble in these races. 16 races in total. There will be a winner at the end, one way or another. So, if you feel like challenging me, you have 60 seconds to get your ball in there. And in the meantime, I'm going to read to you. So, thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. We're on chapter 31, page 194 in the printed copy. This is going to be from Robert Barrett's perspective. So Robert is he's our antagonist. He's the bad guy. And let's see if I can not butcher this. Inganno e you can tell it's been a minute since I've read this. Devastación. Deceit and devastation. Devastación. Mi amor. Okay. Here we go. Connie and Peppo found me in a sociable mood on Thursday morning when they arrived at my suite on the second floor of the Athena Hotel. Food and drink had already been delivered to the room, ensuring our little gathering could be conducted privately. Peppo tucked into his steak dinner with relish as I poured liberal amounts of Brunello di Montalcino red wine into crystal glasses before reverting my gaze to Connie. An update, please, on the horse doping. I trust everything is going to plan. Of course, Connie said. Our agents are now familiar with the layout of the premises and have identified the stalls where Angelino's two fancied runners are housed. They intend to break in through a side gate when the staff leave later this evening. I pushed a white envelope towards Connie. What is this? She asked, frowning suspiciously. Why, it's your passport to freedom, Connie. You can go anywhere you want when all this business is over. Connie opened the envelope to reveal a fake passport in the name of Beatrice Shaw. She smiled sardonically. I take it this is a courtesy of your friend, El Resolver? I nodded as Connie continued her narrative. It's of remarkable quality. What you would expect from the man who gets things done. She laughed. What about you and Peppo? I already have my passport, but have yet to decide my next destination. I shrugged. I can only tell you that it will be outside of Europe. As for Peppo, he intends to head south to be with his wife and children. I glanced over towards Peppo, who was enjoying the remains of his delightful meal, appearing oblivious to our conversation. I hear you, boss, Peppo said, wiping his mouth with a napkin before taking a large swig from his wineglass. What of the boy and the ransom demand? You don't need to worry about that. The Saporis will receive their instructions later this afternoon. The pickup point will be Parco Sempione at 7 a.m. on Monday, when fewer people are around. But that's the day after the races when I travel to Genoa, Peppo said. Indeed it is, my friend. But don't you see? By then we'll have collected our winnings from the track and secured the ransom money. What about the commission from the painting? Connie asked. Rodriguez promised to pay us as soon as we hand it over. But what about the boy? How will he be rescued? Peppo asked, staring at me suspiciously. Look, I won. Hi, Purple. Don't worry, that was just the first race. You're welcome to join the next one. Which is right now. I'm doing my best, thank you. As I cough. All right, 60 seconds. Good luck. After securing the ransom money, we will drop him off at a location close to his home, leaving Connie and me free to embark on our journey out of Milan. Peppo nodded. All right, boss. That sounds good. I'm glad Nico will finally be reunited with his family. It's a pity I won't be there to witness that happy moment. Connie shot Peppo a look of disdain as she drained her glass. Careful. Some might say you're going soft in your old age. On a more serious note, we still must secure the painting to achieve our goals and satisfy Rodriguez. So I'm counting on both of you to be up to the task and prepared for the next part of the operation on Monday. Especially you, Peppo. You'd better believe it. Neither of us will let you down. Oh wait, that was Connie. How am I feeling? I'm trying. Connie said, very much sounding like Peppo, filling her glass before raising it toward Peppo and me. To Operation Whistle, she declared. Peppo and I raised our glass in unison, repeating the toast. Thank you, Purple. I hope your evening goes better than your day. Oh, Peppo, yeah. On Friday evening, Angelo's Lugaria car factory was set to close for their annual one-week summer holiday. This was when the crucial cog in the Whistle machinery would be set in motion. Operation Whistle was an intricate plan involving Angelino handing over his most prized possession, the valuable Giorgione painting of the Blessed Veronica of Milan, in exchange for the non-destruction of his precious car assembly line. Rather than risking attracting the attention of the Italian authorities, I decided to contact the dynamite manufacturer, De Beers, using a private mailbox in Milan. Using a false identity, I requested a quote for the explosives to be delivered to an address to be determined in Busella, just outside Genoa. My eyes watered when I opened the envelope containing the quote in the privacy of my study. I knew Emilio would never bankroll such a sum. I replied immediately, rejecting the quotation, and arranged an urgent meeting with Emilio to discuss an alternative way forward. My son made me some burritos, though, and TARDIS helped me get stream back on track, so it's going better, and I got to dance to the... I thought I heard that. Made my heart melt. Hey, I'm glad those things worked. By the end of the afternoon, we had come up with a solution that satisfied us both. One that would incur minimal cost, yet be fully effective. Emilio agreed to fund the operation and recover the costs, which would be repaid with interest once the painting had changed hands to the buyer Il Resolver had already secured, but only referred to as Mr. X. On Sunday evening during the second week in May, Connie and Peppo took the train to Genoa, to Genoa, then the connection to Bogliasco, located a few miles outside the city. There, they stole an empty, unmarked covered wagon parked within the grounds of the Bogliasco Flour Company. Discovering the keys concealed under the right front tire, they drove to a property demolition company, breaking into its warehouse and helping themselves to 2 tons of dynamite, a detonator, and a large reel of cabling. After loading their haul into the wagon, they drove the short distance to the storage facility in Basula, provided by Emilio. They returned to the storage facility a week later, driving to the Manzoni Tire Company in Turin, where they purchased a small quantity of new tires. The following week, Peppo and Connie took the wagon to the local used tire dump in Genoa and, for a nominal sum, bought 100 used tires, paying in cash again, explaining when questioned by the bemused proprietor that the tires were to be used as safety buffers, to be secured at the end of one of the docks in Genoa. The proprietor bought their story and gladly took the money. Once completed, the explosives were located onto the wagon before being covered and concealed with the tires, ready to await the next phase of the operation. If he failed to comply, the devastating destruction of the Liguaria car factory in Genoa would hit Angelino hard. The damage would be caused by detonating the 2 tons of stolen dynamite concealed in the truck, which would be driven to the store's warehouse adjoining the assembly facility. Emilio and I estimated that if he went ahead, the explosion would destroy both buildings, putting back production by at least a year. We knew security was not a concern, as Connie recently visited the site, managing to enter the building and walk around the entire factory unchallenged. A delivery note for the tires had been forged on official headed paper, and wearing a stolen Manzoni uniform, Peppo was to drive the lorry to Liguaria Car's security entrance, arriving at 10 p.m. on Monday, the day after the races. The method for delivering the dynamite had been meticulously planned and recognized as the most crucial element of the operation. The factory layout had been well researched from previous visits and detailed building and survey plans. Several dry runs had taken place to ensure everything would run like clockwork.
Honk, noise, honk.
There could be no room for honking. I mean, error. There could be no room for error. Hi, Gemma. Just gotta make that entrance, don't you? Oh, my goodness. You never fail to put a smile on my face. Even a sickly old man like me. Best free jump scare ever? Cool. I can change that. I sipped from my glass, closing my eyes momentarily, reflecting that the stage was set. I was only a few days away from realizing my goal. We would generate income 3 ways with several bites of the cherry. First, we would relieve the bookmakers of their bulging satchels at the Milano racetrack on Sunday, securing in the knowledge that Angelino's horses would fail to show after being injected with the virus. Then, we'd place a substantial wager on Break the Bank in the stakes race. As far as the punters were concerned, there were only 2 runners with a realistic chance. After nobbling Angelino's much-fancied entry and barring mishaps, the odds were stacked considerably in our favor. Gonna do some things, I'll be lurking. Hey, no worries, man. I appreciate it. You need to be resting? I have been resting. It's been very hard to rest, but I have been. I promise. The ransom would be collected on Monday morning at Saint-Pion Park by one of Rodriguez's agents, before finally, the piece de resistance, receiving a handsome commission for the stolen painting, thus ensuring maximum humiliation for Angelino and a bumper payout for Rodriguez and me. For the first time in a long time, life felt good. It would have felt even better if I'd been able to keep hold of that painting. Still, thanks to Angelino, that dream was now well and truly shattered. I needed every penny to pay off my expenses before disappearing to start my new life. So there we go. Mr. Robert Barrett is doing all of this just so he can start over. Trying to make income from 3 different straws on the same kind of time frame. It's a shame his plans are going to go tits up. 60 seconds on the clock. Good luck, racers. Gemma, get your ball in there. Forrest, I thought you were lurking. Speaking of which, I wonder if your clip will show up, the one I made. I hope so. Because it was good.
20 seconds? No, come on. Stay focused. I know I got it, dude.
That was great. Oh, the scream. Loved it. And then, of course, we have our dutiful mod and the amazing Gemma, who will get her video here in a moment. Once. There we go.
Did you see that?
That was so slow.
Ooh, right? Oh, I found a pink checkered rug.
A pink checkered rug? Personally, not my favorite, but I'm sure it's delightful. Of course.
Wait, how did it open both?
I don't know. Weird. Couldn't tell you. That game, I swear. And yes, well, Stream Elements is... I don't know what it's been doing lately, but it's been like that for at least a couple of weeks. Okay. Chapter 32. This is from Salvatore Romano's perspective. On page 200, actually. Oh, God. Let me see if I can not butcher this title chapter. Non cambiare il cavallo e meta flusso. Don't change horses in midstream, is apparently what I might have said. My dog is barking at something. I'm not sure what. I know you guys can't hear him, but he's like right above me, which is the living room. Anyway, grazie. Here we go. Chapter 32. Holmes and I arrived at Ernest Angelino's stables at 2 p.m., having messaged ahead. The double-fronted detached villa, with its impressive sweeping in and out driveway, with a hansom expelled of its period. A private wrought iron fence surrounded the property. We were duly greeted by Angelino's private security, Gina Boccaccio? I know they pronounce double C like differently, I think. Family friendly? What? Is that what the stream says? Because that's not true. What's up, Beef? How you feeling? So I was planning just in case I die. Really, dude? I told the wife if I die, rigor mortis will kick in and I'll be nice and stiff and she could get one more ride. After that, cremate me and make my famous spicy hot chill so I can tear up that ass one more time. Wow. Okay. You are something. Oh, look, purple one. Good job, purple. You're just in time, Beeve. You can excite the marble with your ball in this race. "60 seconds on the clock. Right. This petite, dark-haired woman patiently waited, smiled, and gave us a firm handshake as we stepped down from the hansom. We were escorted into a grand vestibule, dominated by a sweeping oak staircase to the left, lined with glass railing and mosaic floor covered with Aubusson rugs. Pictures of prize-winning thoroughbreds adorned the walls, and several glass cabinets contained a wide selection of glittering trophies, medals, and bronze busts lined the interior. We followed Gina into an impressive drawing room. Its heavy oak door with brass fittings included a series of metal locks to the outside, connecting several bolts to the door's interior. She laughed, observing Holmes' sudden interest as he closely examined the door. Gina pointed to a picture on the wall, explaining that her employer had used an elaborate security system to protect one of his most prized possessions, an image of Saint Veronica of Milan, and said to have been painted by Giorgione. "Ah, yes, of course," Holmes said, completely ignoring the painting, diverting his gaze back to the door. "I'm familiar with this type of security system. It's an ingenious little invention. The pins only opened using the correct key, while an incorrect one ensures the door remains securely in place, making it almost impossible to gain entry." Casting my eyes around the room, I noticed a modified system had secured the toughened glass frame, protecting the painting. Holmes and I sat together on a Chesterfield settee as Gina excused herself to inform Angelino we had arrived. A few minutes later, Ernest Angelino appeared, an imposing figure dressed in a tweed suit, flat cap, and a pair of Pair of plus fours? KD, what are plus fours? I'm just genuinely curious now. Locust, hi. Welcome in. Tweed suit, flat cap, and pair of plus fours. I mean, they're shoes of some kind, or feet coverings of some sort. Corgi, redeeming almost first. Well done. Tacky Corgi, everybody. Newest family. Newest member of the Platinum Squad family. Also reached 100 followers. Congratulations. They are trousers or breeches. Huh. I would have assumed shoes of some kind because of the tweed suit part. I assumed the tweed suit was top and bottom, but okay. Now we know. Plus fours, if I'm saying that right, are trousers. Good to know. He was a tall, stoutly built, middle-aged man with sandy hair, his body worn, slack, and past its best, no doubt from an indulgent lifestyle. Well, of golfers wear them. Oh, those kind of pants. Oh, gosh. I just got a picture in my head. Okay. Of course we're going to be supportive, Corgi. You're our friend. We care. He gazed at us with an astute brown eyes, flashing an engaging smile before shaking hands with us warmly. As we stood, I introduced myself and Luca Sapori, waving my badge towards him. Angelino insisted we remain seated. He was followed into the room by a smiling Gina carrying a silver tray with 3 crystal glasses filled with claret, which she handed us before deftly leaving. Angelino sat opposite us in a delicately upholstered wingback chair, smiling in bemusement as he took a sip from his glass. And that's exactly what we do here in the Plat Squad? Exactly. Well, gentlemen, pray tell why Ernest Angelino, a humble horse trainer and motor trader, should attract the interest of the Milano Policia. I don't think there's anything humble about your racing stables, nor indeed your car manufacturing company in Genoa, I said. Oh look, I won again. Silly me. Perhaps somebody else will win the next race, hmm? You don't want me taking the top prize? That would be very unfortunate. But good luck. Angelino threw back his head and laughed out loud. Indeed, I am a fortunate man, but you still haven't answered my question, Inspector. Are you familiar with a fellow in the horse racing fraternity, Robert or Bob Barrett, whom we understand has connections in Ireland? Angelino furrowed his brow. Why, yes, of course. Bob visited me here last year. On the day of the Milano race meeting, we had drinks in this room afterwards. He had an agreeable disposition, and we got on well. One of my owners was so enamored with Bob's training skills in the Gran Premio di Milano with Olmo, they insisted on sending 2 of their top fillies to Bob and Jim Sweeney stables in Kildare. We understand that did not end well for the fillies. Angelino shook his head. No, Inspector. And if I hadn't known what was about to happen, I would have never have sent them. Oh, such a tragic end to 2 equine superstars. The thought of it still brings a tear to my eye. After they contracted a deadly disease and had to be destroyed, sadly, along with several other of Bob and Jim's finest thoroughbreds. Have you heard from Sweeney and Barrett since? No, Inspector. I wrote to them, expressing my deep regret, and asked if I could do anything. But I received no reply. I believe Jim Sweeney suffered some kind of breakdown after that dreadful tragedy. And as for Bob, I understand he tried to carry on for a while, but with most of their best horses gone, it proved a arduous task. I was told he and Jim parted ways. The last I heard, Bob had gone abroad. This man is nearer than you think, Holmes said in a grave tone. And I'm afraid he has revenge on his mind. You, Signor Angelino, are his intended victim. We proceeded to update Angelino about the events in Ireland, including the veterinary surgeon Oisin O'Flaherty and the horse doping scandal. Angelino fell back in his chair stunned. He pulled a handkerchief from his jacket pocket, wiping away beads of sweat from his brow. I simply cannot believe that Bob Barrett would exact his revenge in such a way. But if what you say is true, and there's not a moment to lose, Inspector, Senor Sapori, I must alert my staff without delay and order them to put a watch on the stables. Holmes held his hand as Angelino jumped from his chair, heading towards a bell pull in the room's far corner. Please, hear me out, Holmes said, gesturing for Angelino to sit back in his seat. Oisin O'Flaherty told our contacts in Ireland that before Barrett embarked on his journey to Milan, he replaced the contents of the vials with a vitamin solution. Barrett has no clue about this deception and will undoubtedly send agents to inject your 2 entries, which are scheduled to run on Sunday. Would you mind showing us the stalls occupied by these horses? All right, Angelino begrudgingly agreed. But only if you can guarantee that it is safe. Holmes nodded. You have my word, but I would implore you not to mention a word to the stable staff, just in case any of them are involved in this deception and the mercantile activities of Barrett's gang. We can't afford to trust anyone. We must keep this deception to ourselves for now. Don't worry, Holmes said, observing Angelino's forlorn expression. If you follow my instructions, I guarantee nothing will happen to your horses. Holmes glanced around the stables, his eyes focused on 2 empty stalls at the far end of the block. Angelino pointed to 2 magnificent-looking beasts housed at the other end of the stable block. A handsome bay and a striking chestnut with a white blaze. Their names were proudly displayed on brass plaques hung to the side of each stall. Angelino beamed. Allow me to introduce to you our stable stars, Sandura and Rubicon, he said while affectionately stroking the horses underneath their forelocks, feeding each a carrot. Gentlemen, I'm in your hands, Angelino continued. These handsome boys are both strongly fancied on Sunday. The chestnut Sandura here has a tough task in beating Misana, the firm favorite for the Gran Premio. The owners are confident he will give a good account of himself on the day. They have backed him each way to win substantially, while our entry for the Champagne Stakes Rubicon has been tearing up the home gallops. He's expected to win and win well. If anything happens to these fine animals, there will be hell to pay. I have a reputation to withhold. Don't worry. If you follow my instructions to the letter, I guarantee nothing will happen to your horses, Holmes said. Then he pointed to the 2 empty stalls. Where are the horses who normally occupy those stalls? They house Rathria and his brother Riptide, 2 fine sprinters, Angelino explained. They both incurred recent injuries on the gallops and were turned out in the fields to graze and recuperate. Would you like to see them? He asked, staring at the celebrated detective curiously. Holmes nodded, and we made our way out to the stables to a gated meadow, where we found 2 geldings grazing nearby next to an orchard covered in the last droppings of apple blossom. Angelino whistled, calling out to the horses, who turned around and slowly walked towards us, softly whinnying. Oh my goodness, why am I whinnying? What are you guys doing? This is not how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to let me win. It's very kind of you, but I dare say you must turn this ship around. You're not cheating today? Well, perhaps you should. 60 seconds to try again. Good luck. Holmes smiled, and they both observed the colors of the horses, bay and chestnut, the same as the two fancied runners. What time do your stable staff usually leave for the evening? Between 6:30 and 7 p.m., just after the evening feed, Angelino said. Why? What do you have in mind? He asked, looking at us suspiciously. As soon as the staff have gone, I want you to move Sandura and Rubicon to the stalls occupied by the injured horses. Then, bring Rothri and Riptide in from the fields and into the stalls usually occupied by your two runners. When the horse dopers attack, which I suspect will be later this evening, they will syringe the wrong horses. But you have my word that no harm will come to either beast. But I don't understand how they will gain entry. I have a night watchman and 2 dogs patrolling the premises. Give your night watchman an evening off, and ensure you tether the dogs after the staff leave. But why make it easier for these thugs? Angelino sounded exasperated. Because we're going to beat Barrett at his own game. Inspector Romano's Guardi will be keeping a careful watch incognito. They will follow the villains home and make a note of their address, but there will be no arrest so as not to alleviate suspicion. But rest assured, after the races, the miscreants and thugs will be rounded up and duly arrested for their audacious crime. Angelino put his hands up in protest. Gentlemen, are you sure we're dealing with this matter correctly? There is so much at stake for me, my owners, and the livelihood of my stable staff. It's the only way to guarantee the safety of your horses and garner a positive outcome for you and the owners of these splendid horses at the Milano races on Sunday. Holmes said. Barrett will appear there. I'm sure the temptation will prove irresistible, although I presume he'll be heavily disguised. This way we catch him red-handed and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Angelino nodded in agreement. But what do I tell the stable hands in the morning? I will do anything to protect the reputation of this establishment. So just give me the word, gentlemen, and I promise I will comply. Holmes paused for a moment, then nodded. Your challenge, if you wish to accept it, Signor Angelino, is this. You must tell your staff that the vet was called in overnight after finding the 2 fancied horses unwell in their stalls. After a thorough examination, Sandura and Rubicon were discovered to have a temperature and, therefore, deemed unlikely to run on Sunday. You will be amazed how quickly rumors spread. Once this news hits the racetrack and the bookmakers get wind of the situation, the price of your horses will drift considerably. You can tell your owners to have another wager at greatly enhanced odds before your runners arrive at the track. But, in the meantime, You must keep this conversation to yourself. No one, not even your most trusted employees, can know. What about the stewards at the racetrack? What do I say when they challenge me about my horse's participation? Then you tell him that the vet made a mistake. The horses were placed in the wrong stalls overnight and misdiagnosed. You won't officially withdraw the horses, so technically, no crime will be committed. Just explain the rumors were idle conjure, fueled by malicious gossip. The bookmakers will probably take a dim view of the proceedings. What if Bob Barrett's agents tried to sabotage the horses? Angelino asked, protesting. They won't, I assure you, Holmes said. Inspector Romano's men will be surrounding the route. Other agents will be at the racetrack, posting as punters, keeping their eyes peeled for anything or anyone suspicious. Will you and the inspector be in attendance? I would feel more secure if you were. Holmes sighed. Sadly, as much as we would like to, I cannot guarantee that will happen. We're looking into another pressing matter involving the welfare of a young boy. But rest assured, the inspector and I will be there if possible. Let's just say I, for one, have a vested interest in apprehending Bob Barrett. Well done, Purple. You really took the ringer on that one. Okay, here comes the next race. Join if you wish. Lose if you don't. Because you can't win if you're not in it. 60 seconds on the clock. We shook hands with Angelino, bidding him farewell, and turned to leave. As we reached the grand hallway, Holmes turned on his heels, focusing on Angelino with those penetrating eyes, and said, "The picture in your drawing room of Saint Veronica of Milan, pray tell me, how long has it been there?" Angelino laughed. "Why, Signor Stapori? That painting has been in my family for generations. It has hung on that wall for the past 20 years, ever since my father died, and the picture was passed down to me, his eldest son." Holmes nodded, appearing satisfied. We shook hands with Angelino before returning to Via Torino. When we arrived at the villa, Nin was sitting in the drawing room, tears rolling down her beautiful face. "Whatever is the matter?" Holmes asked, as our eyes diverted to a letter Nin held in her shaking hands. She looked up at her husband, woefully holding up the letter, which I noticed was printed on thick, rough-edged paper. "Sherlock, it's arrived. The ransom demand." "Let me see," he said, his voice low but commanding. Nin held the letter towards him, appearing reluctant to release her grip. They said Monday. 7 in the morning. Parkhurst and Pion. They want the money brought there. Her voice broke as fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. What if we don't make it on time? What if they... Enough, Holmes interrupted, gently removing the note from Nin's hand. His fingers brushing against hers lingered for a moment. We will make it on time. Nico will return home. Holmes's jaw tightened as he read out the demands. It's him, isn't it? Nin said, her voice wavering but edged with a desperate kind of certainty. We had both witnessed the shift of Holmes's expression, the flash of grim recognition that no amount of icy detachment could conceal. Yes, Holmes replied, his voice a cold whisper. It is indeed Jack Stapleton. The name fell between them like a stone rippling in calm, deep water. Neen let out a strangled sob, her hand covering her mouth as her body started to tremble. Holmes moved to her side, lowering himself onto the chaise lounge. He hesitated before placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. It was an awkward gesture, tentative, but it steadied her. Neen, he said, his voice softer now. You must trust me. This note is a piece of the puzzle, another link in the chain that will bring Nico back to us. She looked at him, eyes wide with grief and a childlike expectancy.
Do you truly believe that? You speak so calmly but haven't slept in days. You never stop chasing shadows. What if we're too late?
We won't be, he said, his grey eyes meeting her with an intensity that appeared to silence all doubt. I've faced Stapleton and his like before. The man is cunning, but he underestimates me and the law. He always has, and that ultimately will be his downfall. Neen let out a shuddering breath.
What if it's a trap?
That is a possibility, Holmes admitted, folding the letter and placing it into his pocket. I wouldn't expect anything less from Stapleton. But a trap works both ways. He's shown his hand, which immediately makes him vulnerable. If Stapleton or Bob Barrett wants to play cat and mouse, so be it. The game is afoot. I love that line. Sorry. For a moment, a complete absence of sound reigned over the room. Standing in silence, hardly daring to breathe, I felt a tinge of regret eavesdropping of this profoundly private moment between husband and wife, two remarkable people born of great courage. It was an overwhelming reminder of the strength and resilience of the human spirit. Their words resonated deeply, highlighting the acute intensity and sensitivity of the situation. This languid spell continued for a moment. The only sound was Neen's labored breathing and the faint creak of the old building settling into the early evening following the day's heat. Then, with a surprising air of empathy, Holmes spoke again. You must rest, Neen. Your strength, both in body and mind, will be needed in the coming days. She shook her head, clutching his arm as though he might vanish.
I can't. Not while Nico is still out there. While those monsters...
Neen, he said, interrupting her, his voice still firm but warmer. I promise you, we will bring him home. You have my word. Her grip loosened, and she nodded, though her tears continued to fall. Holmes rose with a visibly renewed determination and turned towards the window. He gazed out at the evening sky over Milan, where the flickering gas lamps would soon be reflected off the granite-paved street of this great city. The celebrated detective's calculating mind no doubt measured the steps needed to outwit Stapleton and rescue his son. Neen whispered a single plea.
Whatever happens, don't let them hurt him.
Holmes did not turn. Instead, he maintained his steady gaze out the window, but his answer was sharp and precise. They won't. Not while Sherlock Holmes draws breath. And that is the end of a very cool chapter 32. And ads start in like 20 seconds or so, which is excellent timing. KD, I love that chapter. Hello, Zarias. Sometimes it's tricky for me, especially when I'm nasally and stuff, to remember to properly switch from character to character. You know, with the accents and whatnot. Whoa. Glad you liked it. My favorite chapter is coming soon. A Day at the Races. Such fun writing those scenes. Ooh, okay. All right. And I'm so glad you put that you used the classic, the game is afoot. I love that line. All right, 60 seconds on the clock for all those marble erasers out there. Get your marble in. And I'm going to mute for a second so I can blow my nose. Tony, I should have got stock in Kleenex or something. It's a great phrase. It absolutely is. I don't know where the first time it was used and for what, situation, but wow. Love it. Oh, it's just Corgi and I. Okay. Be prepared to lose, madam. All right, we'll go again with the next chapter in about 35 seconds. Feels good to be reading again, even if I am a bit. I'm sure I sound a little different. Maybe just deeper. I'm not sure. I just know that it's not quite the same. And then there's that annoying cough. All right. Ads are done. The race has begun. And chapter 33 is right in front of us. Page 210. In the printed copy. Chapter 33 is, again, from Salvatore Romano's perspective. Verso la Luca, Into the Light. The game's afoot was first used in the adventure of the Abbey Grange. Huh. Really? Interesting. Is it fair to say that Sherlock Holmes' character made it famous? Because I don't think of that phrase without also thinking of Sherlock Holmes. Could just be me, but it feels like they go together. Anywho, definitely, yeah. I mean, it sounds right, but you know, I'll try to forget that it's not Sherlock Holmes's phrase, and I'll just keep thinking that in my head. Okay. All right. Page 210. I sat in my office amidst a mountain of paperwork, relaxing with a cup of coffee and a cigarette as rain pelted down the window panes on a cool, wet Sunday morning. Officer Cipriano Esposito, who operated the front desk, entered my office to tell me that Sergeante Maggiore Ferraro had arrived back at the station and needed to speak to me urgently. I think I'm gonna win this Grand Prix. Just saying. Oh, look, another challenge completed. Rexter, aren't you still streaming? 60 seconds on the clock. Thank you, everyone. Huh? You okay, buddy? You're still streaming, aren't you? Nope, no, you're not. Never mind. In fact, everybody I was lurking has disappeared. So, that's a thing. Ooh, Mama House Gaming is streaming right now, though, so pull her up. She's doing some phasmophobia. He rated out, now I feel stupid. It's fine. But still, give Rexter a follow, because he's actually streaming again. It's amazing. Okay, on with the story. I furrowed my brow and asked Esposito to send for the Sergeante, wondering what had brought him back so early from his surveillance duties in Lombardy. Ferraro was one of the best officers in my ranks. He joined the Milano Polizia 2 months earlier and was recently promoted to Sergeante, a decision that raised a few eyebrows amongst my men. He was considered a solitary individual, rumored to have a penchant for liquor and a pretty woman. Still, as a clever, insightful law enforcer with a bright, inquiring mind, he was an undeniable asset to the Milano Polizia. Ferraro entered the room. I nodded, urging him to sit. "What have you got?" I quizzed, staring at him curiously. Deep-set, brown eyes stared at me from Ferraro's sharp features, which were taut and serious-looking, aided by his raw-boned frame. His response was sharp and concise. "Guardia at Guido Capo reported suspicious activity at the San Siro Scudiera stables just before dawn. He was on the lookout near the rear of the main house when he noticed a flashlight coming from an upstairs window. Or a flashing light coming from an upstairs window, which was closed and covered by blinds. Whoever was flashing was clearly in trouble from the slats of the window shutters. They continually messaged SOS in Morse code, followed by the name Nico. Capo came to find me at the neighboring stable, and we returned to the San Siro together. By the time we arrived, the yard was deadly quiet. Then, a man appeared with a dog on a leash. He seemed nervous and kept looking toward the window.
I would never understand Stunt Mama's mama. But my goodness, you're here. You're really here.
It's good to see you. Hi. He seemed nervous and kept looking toward the window, refusing to answer our questions. I was about to ask Capo to cut him off and read him his rights when a young lad appeared out of the stable block, pushing a wheelbarrow. He looked surprised to see us and asked if he could help. When questioned, the lad identified himself as Orlando Fontano and said he'd only worked at the stables for a few weeks. He'd been left behind to oversee the horses and prepare the evening feed. He expected the staff to return later this afternoon. Back from Grand 2's baseball game? Nice. Did they win? Or did they at least enjoy themselves? It's not always about winning, it's just doing your best. When I questioned him about the man with the dog, asking why he didn't respond to questioning, the boy explained the man was a deaf mute employed on a casual basis as a security to guard the house and stables. I asked him if he'd seen a boy or noticed any suspicious activity at the premises. He shook his head and said no, explaining how his work with the horses kept him busy. His boss, the temporary racing manager Bob Barrett, was a stern taskmaster who expected hard graft and 100% commitment from his staff. He seemed like a decent lad, and I believed him. We don't know who won. We lost track of the score, and it was a close game. Oh, boy. Okay. Did you make any progress with the deaf mute? Ferraro smiled. Yes, sir. My youngest brother, Ello, was born afflicted with impaired hearing. So I used Linguina di Signa Italian Sign Language to establish a dialogue with the mute. He told me the owner of the stables, Ludovico Galli, was away working in America. He'd left the temporary running of the establishment in the hands of a trainer from Ireland, a man named Robert Barrett, otherwise known as Bob. When questioned further, the mute admitted that Barrett kept a boy in the house against his will. His description matches Nico Sapori. So, by the looks of things, Nico Sapori is imprisoned at the San Siro stables. I asked, staring at the Ferraro in what was a real seminal moment, as a surge of adrenaline suddenly overpowered my fatigue. Ferraro nodded. It would appear so, Inspector. Was there any other activity from the house? No, sir. We knocked but received no answer. Then, when we tried to enter the property's rear, we found all the doors and windows locked. The mute explained that he was not entrusted with a key. He was instructed to patrol outside with the dog and not allow anyone to enter the grounds. No one was allowed access except the staff and the key holders to the house. Robert Barrett and his assistant, a man named Peppo Barbieri. He's the one who gave the orders and is primarily responsible for looking after the boy. Did he say where this Bob and Peppo were now? I asked. Ferrero shook his head. No, sir. That's what we're trying to establish. Barrett has not been seen at the stables for the past 2 nights. However, the mute told us by lip-reading banter in the stables, he learned Barrett was expected to attend the race meeting later this afternoon to oversee Viscusi, the stables runner, in the first race. Speaking of races, I won again. Oh dear. Your daughter missed another one? Oh dear. Oh boy. You're gonna do it so she misses them all? That's a good idea, Rexter. Just really rub it in, you know? Just like a tally. Oh, there's stream number 2. I feel like I could do that as well. I know sometimes she's lurking, but I don't, and this isn't necessarily about Stunt Mama at this moment, but I've been pondering a thought about Twitch as I interrupt myself in the story temporarily. It made me wonder if lurkers only count if you first say something in the chat, even if it's just the word lurk, right? As a lot of people might do. But on the other hand, if you're just there with the stream open and say nothing, that should be enough, right? But I don't know how Twitch actually counts it. They do. You have to type anything in chat to count as a lurker. Oh, and there's Ginny. Hi. Ginny Rose 155 saying lurked. I hope I count for you. Enjoying the content. Well, thank you. I wasn't trying to bring people out of their lurking status. It made me wonder how Twitch does it, you know? Because I know you can only have so many streams open and count in those streams. But if you have said something in one of them, is that going to count more than another one? Or instead of another one? I don't know. It's okay. I know you weren't. I don't know how it works, but happy to say hello if that helps. It certainly does. I love to know that you're there, and I'm not going to be like, hey, Jenny, answer this question, because I know you're just trying to lurk, and that's okay. But yeah, it just made me think about that the other day, because I know lurking can be a huge part of numbers, but it made me think, well, do you have to tell them that you're lurking so that Twitch knows, oh, you are like intentionally here? Because there has to be some way of like coding / counting. Interesting. Anyway, on with the story. Yes, okay. Where was I? Gosh darn it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Talking about will they be the races and all that stuff. Cool. Where's the mute now? Do we know his name? Ferrero nodded. His name is Mario Rinaldi, from Bergamo. He's in custody and being processed as we speak. I'll interview him again, although I doubt he can tell us anything else. He's not privy to Barrett's inner circle. He's merely a domestic servant. You have to type one word in chat, and your volume should be at least 1 to count as a lurker. Okay. Got it. So because of you typing something, it adds to the viewer count, basically. Okay, well that's good to know, because I've certainly lurked in channels and haven't said I was lurking. Because the volume I knew. Yeah, okay. Well, I will change my lurking behavior now going forward. Because if I'm going to lurk to be helpful, I want to actually be helpful. Good job, Corgi. Good job. You did it. My gosh. All right. Race number 11, exclamation point play to play. 60 seconds on the clock. Hey, don't snap your fingers at me, Purple. Right, I replied. We'll apply for an immediate warrant to search his premises. Gather your men, Ferraro, and summon the locksmith. I will join you shortly, but first, there's something I must do. I waited for Ferraro to leave my office before picking up the telephone. My hands shook as I took a deep breath and dialed Sherlock Holmes' number. The phone was answered after 3 rings. The connection was poor due to the inclement weather and terrible crackling on the line, but there was no mistaking that clipped, well-modulated voice that said, "Hello?" "We finally have a breakthrough we've been looking for, my friend. We have found your son." Holmes took a sharp intake of breath, responding with one word. "Where?" You don't have to give subs to count as a lurker. Yeah, I know that. Shh.
That was a secret.
The San Siro Scudiera stables. We've asked for a warrant, which is being fast-tracked. My men and I will collect you in 20 minutes. Right. Holmes paused for a moment. I could hear the anxiety in his voice. That cool, calm composure had slipped like a mask. "Is my boy alive?" "We have every reason to believe so." Holmes released the breath he held, replying, "Thank you, Salvatore. I will see you directly." I smiled, taken aback by the detective's narrative, replacing the receiver on the hook. That was the only time Holmes called me by my Christian name. It was touching coming from him. Our carriage arrived at Via Torina at 10 a.m. It was still raining, but the clouds were starting to lift, with the promise of the sun attempting to break through. I prayed this was a good omen. Holmes jumped into the hansom, and we set off to the stables. The celebrated detective was pensive and barely spoke during the journey, his expression stern and self-possessed. The coachman, aware of the urgency of our trip, whipped the horses, and the carriage moved along at a reasonable speed. Probably like 6 miles an hour or something. 30 minutes later, the coachman reined in the horses to an extended trot as the road ahead narrowed. We found ourselves on a country lane, surrounded by fields and outbuildings. After a sharp turn to the right, we discovered the San Siro stables right before us, its signpost blowing gently in the cool Tuscan breeze. The coachman expertly guided the carriage through 2 stone gate posts before pulling up the horses and bringing the Broman to a halt. We jumped down from the carriage to find a group of Gardi patrolling the main house. Having arrived minutes ahead of us, the locksmith gained entry through the kitchen door, which he explained was the least robust of the property's formidable locks. Within minutes, we were inside the house, finding ourselves in a vast hallway that veered off in 2 directions. Pushing open the door to the left, we found ourselves looking into a room that served as a changing room. The interior smelt of saddle soap and earthly leather, with hats, riding jackets, and horse rugs hanging off rails. Holmes pointed with his revolver to the door to the right. "This way, gentlemen," he said, his long legs striding purposefully ahead as we entered what was a tack room for the stables. There was a collection of snaffle bits, saddles, bridles, and blankets, with a further door at the end. Through the portal were steps leading to the first floor of the building. We ascended to the top of the landing, to be faced by 2 heavy paneled doors. Holmes pushed the left one open. We tentatively stepped over the threshold and looked around the dim interior of the long, narrow room with a mullioned window set low in the wall. This had all the appearance of a trophy room, newspaper and photographic gallery. Turning on the light revealed a shrine to equestrian glory, just like B12. Glory. Oh, wait, what? I didn't type in yours earlier, but you saw me lurking. Traitor. Tybee 12. Gleaming trophies stood in neat rows within glass cabinets. Photographs of proud horses and their victorious riders adorned the dark wood-paneled walls. A Persian rug stretched across the polished floor, its intricate pattern dull under the shadows of the dimly lit room, but there was no sign of Nico. The second door to the right was set in the thickness of the wall. Holmes put his shoulder to the door in an attempt to open it, but it was locked from the outside. With a nod from the detective, the locksmith skillfully removed the lock at impressive speed. He stepped back as Holmes slowly pushed the door open. There was a deadly quiet as he put his finger to his lips, warning us to be quiet and explaining that he did not want his son to be placed in unnecessary danger. My heart missed a beat, wondering what he would find. I was excited, nervous, and terrified simultaneously. We slowly entered a long room, which was bright, airy, and beautifully decorated with green, willow-patterned wallpaper. Holmes's keen eyes darted across the room, dissecting every corner. At the front of the room, his gaze fell upon a small chair next to a mahogany writing desk. A plate of half-eaten food sat beside it, with its edges crusted. In the middle of the room was a double bed with an oaken frame, matching bedroom furniture and 2 chairs. On one of them sat Nico, shoeless and dressed in pajamas. The boy turned around at our approach. The expression on his face was one I shall never forget, one of pure, unadulterated joy. My heart leapt in my chest at the realization that we had found him safe and well. Standing, he ran toward Holmes, flinging his arms around him. "I was never afraid, Father. I knew you would come and rescue me," Nico said through tear-filled eyes. "My God, we have found the boy. Corky has won another race." Oh, Nico. Neen and Sherlock Holmes' son has been found. Folks, this is a great moment in the story. You have no idea. Absolutely fantastic. And interestingly, plenty of story left to go. But anyway, allow me to not get sidetracked. Pivotal moment indeed. Absolutely. Such a great part. Holmes gathered the boy in his arms, tenderly placing a hand on his son's cheek. "Thank God. I'm sorry it took so long to find you. Did they hurt you?" he cried, holding his son gently by the shoulders and staring into his eyes with an expression of utmost tenderness. Nico shook his head. "No, Father. I'm well. The abductors treated me kindly. Well, most of them." He smiled ruefully. Holmes held out his hand, beaming at his son. "Then come, my brave boy. On with your clothes. Mother is waiting." I instructed Ferraro and Tugardi to remain at the property. I asked them to make their way through the rooms of the house, searching for any incriminating evidence and signs of foul play. They would remain until the staff returned to the stables, where they would be cautioned, questioned, and interviewed. As we made our way out to the carriage, our senses were infused by the aromatic, pungent aroma of jasmine, honeysuckle, and lavender wafting through the air. The sun shone brightly as a rainbow appeared on the horizon. The Gardaí stood in line, applauding Nico's rescue with cheers and several bravos. I felt
inordinately proud of my men. They had worked so hard in the past few days, and now, at last, our combined efforts had been duly rewarded. Holmes glanced up at the coach rider. "Take good care," he said. "You have precious cargo." I agreed with Holmes's request not to take Nico to the station for questioning. The boy had endured enough trauma for one of such tender years. He was also eager to be reunited with his mother. "Thank you, Fubar. Thank you. On the journey back to the villa at Via Torino, Nico told us all he knew of his captors. Gino, who on the surface came across as uncouth and a little rough around the edges, had shown great kindness towards him. The sinister woman named Connie, and his meeting with Bob a few days earlier. That thought sent a shiver down my spine. It was a memory I immediately wanted to erase from my mind. Nico looked at his father curiously. "Is Bob who I think he is?" Holmes furrowed his brow. "Because B12 run the race." Wait, that's not what it says. Hold on. Oh, I misread that. Sorry. That's not what it said at all. Whoopsie. Oopsie whoopsie. 60 seconds on the clock. After I click the button. Delightful. Holmes furrowed his brow. "Yes, it would appear so. But I don't want you to worry. Inspector Romano and I will find Stapleton. He and his cronies will be arrested by the day's end." Holmes smiled at his son. "But how on earth could you know? Did Barrett reveal his identity to you?" "Dry. Hello. Welcome in." Nico shook his head, staring at his father with a solemn expression. "No, sir. I figured it out from what Bob said. He's a bitter man who holds you wholly responsible for the death of his wife. The timing, what you told me of the Hound of the Bakerville case, what I read in Dr. Watson's chronicles of the events that occurred 17 years ago, finally gave him away. But you and the inspector must go find him before he hurts anyone else." "Ah, so you don't object me to leaving you so soon after your rescue?" "No, sir, but please be careful. I don't want anything to happen to you or Inspector Romano." "I promise we will be on guard," Holmes said, appearing humbled and touched by his son's narrative. "My goodness, it's a Johnny Boombots in the chat. Hey, sir, hope your stream is good, my guy." "It is, thank you." "Johnny, try your command one more time. Please. If you don't mind."
Who's that handsome guy?
Hey, it worked. Guess I just had to fiddle with it a bit. But hey, it works now. And now that it's working, I'm gonna go turn it off. I'm just kidding. Back to lurk. Thank you, sir. "Are you sure Mother will be home? I can hardly wait to see her," Nico said, staring anxiously at his father. Holmes nodded. "Yes, indeed." "If not, then Neen is in for a wonderful surprise," I added, smiling warmly at the boy. The brougham had barely stopped outside the villa when the front door swung open,
and Neen raced down the steps toward us. Oh, the ecstasy. But perhaps even more endearing was the relief on her face as she ran towards her beloved son. Helped by his father, Nico jumped from the carriage, straight into his mother's arms. Neen held him tightly, sweeping him in a loving embrace as she rained tender kisses onto his face.
Forgive me. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry,
she said. For the first time in days, there was laughter and tears. But there were tears of happiness and joy. Nico slipped his hand into his mother's, his face breaking into a wide grin, and then, with her arm wrapped protectively around her son, they entered the villa with us following behind. Neen looked up at Holmes and me, beaming.
Thank you for bringing Nico home, Sherlock. You and our cherished friend Salvatore have been fundamental to finding our son. The cost of losing him was almost my soul,
she mused.
I will be eternally grateful for you both.
Neen turned her attention to me, arching her eyebrow in mock humor.
As for you, Salvatore, I want to thank you and your men for top-notch police work and showing humility, compassion, and true leadership throughout this horrendous ordeal while under the most intense pressure. Some of it, I know, was instigated by me. I can only apologize for that.
I shook my head. There's no need to apologize. You did what any mother would do under the circumstances. I had always considered Neen to be a handsome woman, but she never looked as beautiful as she did then. I flushed crimson as she leaned over to kiss me gently. What about your husband? I teased. Is Signor Sapori not worthy of a kiss? Neen flashed a smile as she led Nico through the hall into the hallway.
Ah, Salvatore, I'm sure I'll think of a way to thank my husband later.
There was a commotion in the villa as Helen, the Sapori's dog, bounded towards us like a puppy, barking, twirling around, jumping up and wagging her tail. The domestic servants, Alicia, Ginevera, and the Sapporo's nanny Hildegard, now aware of Nico's return, fussed around him. The bevy of women shrieked with breathless excitement, their laughter and insistent chatter echoing throughout the villa. Stepmama's mama are coming in for a win. I'm afraid to go to the bedroom and see him there. Wait, what? Brown chicken, brown cow. Who are you afraid to see? What? All right, what is this? This is race 14. Good grief. That means this and 2 more. 60 seconds. Good luck. Ginevra brought Nico a cool glass of lemonade, a slice of Alice's freshly baked lemon ricotta cake, and a large bowl of Italian ice cream, which he wolfed down before the ladies were eventually ushered out of the room by Neen, who was desperate to spend quality time with her son. Holmes poured 3 glasses of brandy into crystal glasses, handing one to each of us as we raised a dutiful toast to Nico Sappori's safe return. After finishing our drinks, Neen ensured Nico was settled comfortably in his room. The boy was understandably tired and said he needed rest. Neen rejoined us in the drawing room and topped up our glasses.
Helen is at the bottom of his bed keeping watch. He's drifted off to sleep. What now?
It's not over. On the contrary, this is far from over, Holmes said, nodding grimly. Romano and I must find the perpetrators and bring them to justice. I can't allow Stapleton to slip through my fingers again.
And where will the perpetrators be found?
Nin asked, arching an eyebrow. The Milano racetrack. The meeting is due to commence at 2 this afternoon. But first, the inspector and I must take a detour to the stables of Signor Angelino. If our little ruse has worked, we're about to relieve Stapleton and his cronies of a great deal of money. First at the Milano racetrack, then when he discovers Nico's escape and the loss of his ransom money. Stapleton will be left on a very sticky wicket. I don't want you to worry, Holmes said, acknowledging his wife's perplexed expression. The inspector and his men will have agents covering the racecourse. There will be nowhere for Stapleton and his cronies to hide. Thank you for the lurk, Corgi. He took Nin's hands in his. I need you to stay here and look after our son. I will ask Dr. Pease to call around to check on Nico. 2 Guardi will keep watch outside, but, on the face of it, Nico thankfully appears largely unscathed from his ordeal. Yes, just a lifetime of, therapy. That's all. Holmes and I finished our drinks, and while the detective went upstairs to change, I asked Nin if I could use the telephone to check on things at the station. The officer on duty told me Ferraro and the Garadier were continuing their search at the stables. Then I called Caterina to let her know that Nico was safe and well, handing the receiver to Nin before heading off to Angelino's stables with Holmes, who looked rather dapper, dressed in disguise of a typical racegoer, donning a trilby, dark glasses, and a fake mustache. He was attired in a white dress shirt with a stiff collar and blue silk bow tie beneath a well-fitted 3-piece navy suit, and a pair of brown, well-polished ankle boots completed the outfit. With a pair of brass Carl Zeiss Jena field glasses draped over his shoulder, Holmes looked every inch a member of the horse racing set. And that is the end of that chapter. Oh, well done, Dry. Well done. Let's see. Ah, yes. The tube race, as I call it. Totally tubular, man. Oh, 60 seconds on the clock. Second to last race. Good luck. By the way this set of races is played out, I would be shocked if I didn't take first place myself. Just saying. We will not have time to finish a whole extra chapter, which is a bummer because, gosh darn it, I really want to see how the things keep going. And this is, I think, KD, you said this was your favorite chapter. Una giornata alle corse di cavalli. I'm butchering all the words. A day at the races. Pretty sure you said that one was your favorite. So we should probably save your favorite for next time. That way it's at the beginning and not at the end. I need to blow my nose again. It is? Okay. Yes. So given the timing and the lateness of the hour, especially for you, we will save that chapter for the beginning on Sunday. That'll be page 221. And the epilogue begins on 312, so like the main chunk of the book, shall you say, the story ends on page 311. So, gosh, 90 pages of the main story remaining. That's scary. Mercy, you love chunky books. Folks, I don't know if you've met Mercy, but you have to know Mercy and I have a very special relationship. It's time everybody knew, okay? We can't keep this a secret any longer. We just can't. Mercy is a game developer. There, I said it. He is currently creating a very cool game with I would think, what seems like a unique storyline. And even though the game looks fun, it has a heartwarming and heart-churning storyline behind it, and I've been hired to help bring that story to life a little bit with my voice, obviously. So, yeah, I'm very excited. He is my employer. That is the relationship. I here to tap the sumo. Speaking of tapping, while these last races are happening, I owe some more spins of the Wheel of Gains. So I'm gonna make a spin, and we'll see what happens. Sherlock Holmes is inspecting a bed. He says to Watson, "This bed is missing something." Watson replies, "No sheet, Sherlock." Oh, dry. All right, let's see what the wheel has for me this time.
Weighted squats x5.
Damn it. Weighted squats times 5. Okay. Okay, well, at least it was only 5, you know. This time, let's do another.
Push-ups x5.
Push-ups times 5. Okay. I'm a bit limited on the floor space, so you have to bear with me. Okay, got that one. Let's take that off the list. Let's do another.
Yeah, baby.
Regular curls x5.
Regular curls times 5. Excellent. Loving it.
Is it hot in here? Are you hot? I mean, you are hot. I mean...
I mean, I'm certainly warming up now, that's for sure. Oh, Stump Mama's mama again. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last one. Good luck. It's the final countdown.
Hammer Curls X5.
Hammer Curls X5. Groovy. We're making some good progress.
No weight squats X10.
We're doing a lot of squats tonight. I did a whole bunch before reading too. So, just no weighted squats, but 10 of them. Whoa. Let's try that again. Got it. Knocking them out. How does Sherlock Holmes get all the ladies? Seductive reasoning. Oh, where have you been all my life, Dry?
Streamer Pix X10.
Oh boy. So I get to pick something, but do it 10 times. I just realized I could cheat my own system and I could pick do nothing and do that 10 times. But I think that defeats the purpose. I'll do push-ups again. Good night, Katie. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to read to you again. I can't wait to keep going with your story. It's so good. Sleep well. All right. Push-ups. We'll do that. All right. What lap are you on?
Drink! 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 Drink!
Thank you. Let's do one more.
Streamer Pix X10.
Streamer picks X10. All right. We just did push-ups, so we'll just do, I don't know. We'll do curls.
More! More!
All right. Let's knock that one off. Done. That's good. And music. Oh boy. All right. While this race is finishing up, I'm going to pull up our streamer friends. I'm pretty sure I already know who we're going to go say hi to, but I just needed to be sure. Yep. Okay. Ooh, Stunt Mama's Mama taking that one in. All right. Let's finish this. Let's see who's on the podium. Forrest taking third place. Well done. Well done. In second, Stunt Mama's Mama. And, as I assumed, moi in first. Please, no photographs, no pictures. All right. Gosh, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute treat and honor to read to you tonight, even though I wasn't 100%. I still tried. I appreciate you being here. We'll be back Thursday. The plan at the moment is to do some hell diving again, because democracy and liberty and stuff. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So if that falls through, we'll be going to ATS for some truck sim. So if you can do me a favor, copy the raid message. That would be great. And then let's go make sure I type this in correctly, because I am notorious for spelling things wrong. Yeah, let's go say hi to our buddy Fubar. Oh, and that type subs on the screen. On Thursday, it'll be May. So that $25 gift card is going to go up to $50. Because it's May 1st on Thursday. So the whole month of May, you now have a chance to win a $50 gift card. I hope you do. But until then, as always, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I hope you have a wonderful night. See you next time.